One of the most extraordinary feelings which any student of history may experience is that connection to figures of the past we get when we're handling historic documents. There's just something so sublime, so serene, I think, about holding the same paper once held by its author. To read with one's own eyes the very letters as they were poured from the mind of their creator. To hold what they held, to see what they saw, is to garner at least some little window into their reality which is otherwise unattainable to us. And to experience that wonderful feeling, you need not visit some grand National Archive or 300-year-old museum, although, of course, those are always very pleasant experiences when they could be had. Indeed, you need look no further than your local historical society or your local library to find hordes of material just readily available to you. Or, as in the case for many families around the world, you need look no further than your own storage space. I recently had the pleasure of staying with a family in Smalltown, Pennsylvania, with one such document tucked away. It was a sort of a miniature autobiography, written, I believe it was in 1947 by the grandfather of the family as a school assignment when the man was but a boy of 15 years in the 9th grade. And I tell you what, if I were the boy's teacher, I'd have certainly passed him with distinction. It is an absolutely wonderfully written, if perhaps a little melodramatic here and there, story with a line at its end which just genuinely leaves me in awe. This quaint little piece of family history, shown to me on a whim because the man's progeny, thought it was a fun conversation piece, it offers, I think, a brilliant view into what it would have been like to grow up as a young boy in the wake of the Second World War and at the very dawning of the atomic age. Because of this, its ability to offer a lens into a way of life now unknown to us, and certainly a way of life which, as someone who's more interested in earlier time periods, I certainly don't think about it an awful lot. And of course, as a lesson to us as to the value of family history, local history, the small-scale, bottom-up kind of social history, using that as a method to gain much greater insight into much larger, broader topics of national and global importance, in this instance, the Cold War. Well, I immediately asked the family for their permission to help spread the story because of all that value. With the caveat, of course, that I would censor the family name and locations, except, of course, in potential instances of like an actual academic historian reaching out to me and being like, hey, we want to use this in a study, and we can give them further details, enter into conversation, all that sort of thing. But I'll be censoring the names for the family's privacy. But otherwise, they were so kind as to give me permission to bring the story to all of you, because I do think it is well worthy of being shared. And so, with their kind permission, I now present to you all Baby Bruce. Baby Bruce, the autobiography of Bruce Allen Surname, from Bruce Surname, section 9.2, whatever that means, probably a grade, thing. The author, the dedication of the book. I dedicate this book to my family, to my mother and father who have helped me and guided me on the right paths and have given me love that only they can give. I assume there's supposed to be a period there because then it carries on. To my brother and to my sisters who have shared good times and they have given me brotherly and sisterly love. From the author. Baby Bruce, edited by Bruce Surname, editor Bruce Surname. A new and classified novel from ancient times to the present day. Like I said, a little melodramatic here and there, but his reasons for writing the book, I am writing this book as a 9th grade assignment. I also wrote it to bring back many pleasant memories of days gone by, days I can never live again, but can only hope to have many more like them, days rich in memory and hope. And we have a table of contents there, as you can see. His early life, 1932 to 44. In the year of 1932, the population of was rewarded with a bouncing baby boy. This boy was the last of a family that was residing at 2205 Street Name Street. This was the home of the Surname clan. I was baptized Bruce Allen Surname at the Church of the Redeemer. I was the second boy of a family of 6. There were 2 sisters and my mother and my father. Jean was the name of my older sister, and Marilyn the name of my younger sister. Paul was the name placed upon my older brother. My parents were referred to as Mom and Dad. My earliest fear, jumping right into it, my earliest fear was the sight of blood, and it still makes me feel empty in the stomach. Going to school was tough for me. The fear of loneliness crept up on me. I ran home from school the second day, and I had to be taken to school by my older sister for a few days until I got over my fear of loneliness. In school, I met my pals that I go with today. Dale, Jim, Larry, and Eddie are just a few of the ones I go with. We have many good times together, and still do, or we had many good times together, and still do. We all love the fine art of fishing and also of slipping into the creek. We also had many water battles. We line up on either side of the creek and dare one another to go near the creek. If you do, you get splashed by big stones which hit the water and drench you. We all have a slopping good time. Slopping good time, yeah. It was the 40s. I love sports and have been an ardent fan of town high school ever since I was 3 years of age. I have also seen several professional football and baseball games. I came in third at the annual Jeep race at the city playground. I entered for school and was the only one ever to win that event at that school. The fights I have been in are very numerous. I don't want to think about them even now. Being small and not very powerful, I always got the worst of them. A few times, however, and I do mean a few, I won. Most of the time, however, I was wrong, and it was usually me who would do all the making up, as we called it. Junior high days, 1944 to 47. The fateful day of September the 3rd in the year of our president, God bless him, 1944, came the day for me to go out into the world when I entered junior high school. Oh, what a day. With solemn countenance, I proceeded to enter the school of my dread. I entered the room bravely, took up a rigid position in the seat. I sat there in silence, for I didn't know anyone. Then one of my buddies entered the room and sat near me, so I took heart, and I started a conversation. Again, little grammar. He was in 9th grade, little bit of grammar. The longest time I have been silent in school, as any teacher will tell you. The school year passed rather quickly and without much adventure. However, things perked up in the summer, and I spent many happy hours hunting, swimming, and fishing. The year of 8th grade, which was my best year in school, came about very quickly. I spent some of my afternoons on the junior varsity basketball team. However sports work, you get the idea. I also played section football and baseball. I saw town win the state championship in basketball. On the 15th of April, I went trout fishing. I came home with the 10 fish I was allotted, wet feet, broken rod, a bad cold, but high spirits. After a good supper and a bath, I hit the sack and felt very good in the morning. During the summer, I mowed lawns and carried my paper route. I took several fishing trips, one to the ocean, and fell very seasick. I had a swell time learning to dive that summer. And during that summer, I saw many games of the local town Redbirds, and even went to Harrisburg to see them. In 9th grade, I got on the varsity football team and played in every game. I had fun during this year, and now I'm looking forward to high school. The future, 1947 to... who knows? What are my plans for the future? Even today, I don't know. Nobody knows what fate has in store for them. I look upon the future as a bright, happy picture. The atomic age will be along soon. I, for one, don't fear the bomb, and I think there will be an age of a power unheard of before. The future will be one of great importance for generations to come. It will tell of man's greatest development. If we fail, the world will go back to the civilizations long forgotten, remembered only in tales of love and splendor, blood and poverty. Do you see what I meant earlier about those last few lines leaving me in just complete awe? Here we have what is, for the most part, just a regular old school assignment about some kid getting into fights and playing in creeks and such, and we end on an existential note of both hope and fear. So many of the little bits here and there with the piece, everything from being a little shy starting school and being a smaller kid, even some of his difficulties like with spelling certain words and whatnot, and grammar mistakes and such, these are all things that I could relate to, especially at that age. Not so much the playing in creeks, but being small and shy and not the best at spelling. I found myself thinking, yeah, Bruce, same, I know that feeling. I was relating on a personal level to a kid who had lived 74 years ago. Even if it is with, silly little things, that's extraordinary. And then he ends on that one note, that jarring reminder that we're not dealing with some gussied up 50s sitcom or tropes or some such, but with a real life boy, someone who was really alive, a real life thing, a boy who was weighing alongside, his time with his pals on the local sports teams and whatnot and hunting, he was weighing on his minds the possibilities of nuclear annihilation. Even if, as he says, he doesn't actually fear the bomb. What a fascinating look into that world. In the same way that, today we may have concerns about things like global warming or debt crises and COVID-19 for that matter, for them it was the bomb. Like, wow, that makes it hit really home just how meaningful those words are, I suppose. Just the bomb. It's like, it becomes kind of a trope these days, but for them, it was a very, very real reality. It wasn't just, a movie, Dr. Strangelove. It was a perspective, so to say. As well, those last words in the piece are just so powerful, I think. Really, I have to wonder if he didn't take them from somewhere else. They were just so good. If we fail, the world will go back to the civilizations long forgotten, remembered only in tales of love and splendor, blood and poverty. If that isn't an extraordinary name for like some grand history of some empire, other British Empire, Roman Empire, who knows, I don't even know what is then at that. But it just goes to show you that if you want to read some amazing prose, you don't always have to go to the great masters of literature in order to find it. And if you want to feel a deep and an intimately personal connection with the past, you don't always have to travel to some formal archive or deep library and search after the heroes of old. What did President Johnson have to say about the bomb? And You don't always have to have that great man view of history. Sometimes you can find some of the best history, some of the most extraordinary stories, the most fascinating tales that you can relate to on a much deeper level in the strangest of places, in the simplest of places. You can find them in little villages and towns, buried away deep in attics and cellars and just back drawers. Just like baby Bruce, whose 9th grade English assignment, kept by his family for who knows what reason, has now brought me, and I hope all of you as well, such wonder and delight and insight and fascination some 74 years in the future. Now, as ever, this video would not be possible without the generosity of my Patreon supporters. Did you know that if only 0.5%, that's 1 in every 200 of my subscribers, decided to become patrons, that I wouldn't rely on YouTube advertising revenue at all? And just take a look at those delightful benefits and bonuses you get when you join up with that most illustrious corps at any financial level. That's $1 a month or $10 for a whole year for week early access to all my videos, just like this one, in fact. Bi-weekly patron-exclusive live streams. Lately, we've been watching through the Hornblower series together. It's been a lot of fun. And of course, things like a 25% discount on all of my merchandise. And there is a new poster coming along soon. So as ever, to those who support me in my work, have done so in the past, and will do so in the future, thank you. You are what makes this channel, my work, my career, and everything possible. Thank you. And as well, of course, thank you for watching, my dear viewer. And until the next time, I am and I shall remain your most humble and obedient of servants.